Uh-huh. 2 words. And y'all know what 2 words I'm about to say. Say it with me. Naz Reid. Shout out to Nas Reid for winning the 6th Man of the Year award. Hey, man, this should be the entire episode. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I mean, I got the alert right before I started to record 4 Wolves Takes. And I'm like, yo, of course, Artis Woods, have 4 fresh Minnesota Timberwolves takes. Of course. But when that alert came to my phone, I'm like, I should dedicate the whole episode to Nas Reid. Now, unfortunately, I can't because I just wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know, right? I did not know. But now that it's come out, I at least have to start this show by giving a shout out to Naz Reid and the exceptional season he's had. Been balling from the start to finish. I believe he maybe cemented this award when Karl-Anthony Towns went out and he was put in place to now help carry the offensive load, help carry the defensive load, help carry the rebounding load. And in every category, he stepped up in a big way and helped the Timberwolves secure a top 3 seed in the Western Conference when everybody thought the Wolves were done. Most people thought the Wolves were done. Naz Reid stepped up and said, And everybody else as well. Don't want to leave everybody else out, obviously, right? But this moment is about Naz Reid, man. Like, every player coming off of the bench will tell you this is the award that you want for the regular season, that is. This is the award that you want, that 6th Man of the Year award. That award that says I'm the best player to come off of the bench in the NBA. That's what Naz Reid just earned, man. So shout out to him. It's been a sensational season, and it is a major confidence booster, not only for him, but for the team. Speaking of the team, as a whole, the Wolves are up 2-0 on the Phoenix Suns. Let me repeat it for the people in the back that did not quite hear me, because I think some people are still in shock. The Wolves are up 2-0 on the Phoenix Suns. I had to repeat it twice because, again, the people in the back was a little nervous about this series. And to be honest, the person up front right now is a little nervous too. A little nervous. Tough matchup. We saw the regular season matchups. We know how it went. We know how the stars played and how Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant played. We know their resume. We understand the matchup. But at the end of the day, the Wolves have made the necessary adjustments. Guys have stepped up. And they have a 2-0 series lead. Let's jump right into it. This episode is all obviously about the playoff series against the Phoenix Suns. Let's get right to the first take of the day. First take of the day. There are multiple ways to unlock Anthony Edwards. I would have spelled out his whole name, but I ain't have enough space. But anyway, multiple ways to unlock it. Now, when I say unlock, I'm not saying he hasn't been playing well, because in my opinion, he's been playing well. I'm just saying from an offensive scoring standpoint, if you want to get him more involved and get him to the point where he's putting up 25 to 30 a game like how he was in the regular season and how he did in game 1, and you want less games like how we just watched the game 2 go from him offensively, even though I still think, again, it was a great offensive game. He just was more of a facilitator than he was a scorer. If you want to change that, there are multiple ways that you can attack this defense. I've been looking at this defense now for quite some time. You got the 3 regular season games. You got the first 2 games of the playoffs. And I'm looking at this defense just eyeballing. Okay, how would I attack it? If I was Chris Finch, which I'm not going to even act like I have that high level of basketball IQ or I'm any of these players. I'm just a guy that loves the sport of basketball. And I like to put myself in other people's shoes. How would I attack it if I was a coach? There are 3 ways that come to mind when I think about how I could get Anthony Edwards more involved from a scoring standpoint in this offense. And one of these ways, you could get him involved scoring and you can keep everybody else involved, right? And that way is the 5-out lineup. In the 3rd quarter of game 2, where the game was still imbalanced and the Wolves needed a momentum shift, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Nas Reid, and Karl-Anthony Towns were on the floor. We all know how this defense is built, the Phoenix Suns, right? They run this like weird triangle defense where no matter where Anthony Edwards goes on the floor, he has a double and sometimes an even triple team waiting on him, especially when he's bringing the ball up. I mean, it's literally, all eyes on Ant. We understand why it's Anthony Edwards. So obviously they paying attention, right? But with a 5-out lineup, they can't play that same defense. Or let's just put it like this. You got 2 options. Either you play that same defense and you're just okay with allowing guys like Nah and Ant and Jaden McDaniels to cook you from outside, Nas Reid to cook you from outside, because that's been done, right? Or you stay home on those shooters and you allow Ant to go one-on-one with whoever's standing across from him. I'm cool either way. I've seen guys step up and hit shots. I've seen Ant cook them one-on-one. But this is one way, again, if they choose to just stay home on the shooters and come out of that defense, this is one way to help Ant get that one-on-one he's looking for, whoever the matchup is, get that one-on-one he's looking for, go, boogie, cook, get to his shot, get to his spots on the floor, pull up for a jumper, or even attack the paint, because nobody's down there with Karl-Anthony Towns and Naz Reid being on opposite corners of the basketball floor. If one of them come and help, that's a kick to the corner, or that's a kick to the wing. Somebody's wide open for a tray. So that's one way you could help unlock him from a scoring standpoint. Another way you can help unlock Anthony Edwards from a scoring standpoint is you can take him off the ball. Now, this one is a little weird because I haven't seen Anthony Edwards play a ton off ball this season. For the most part, when you watch the Wolves, he's on the ball for the most part all game. When he's in the game, he's got the ball in his hands. He's bringing the ball up. But Kobe Bryant said it best. If you're at the top of the key and you're in front of the defense at all times, it makes it very easy for the defense to lock in on you. It makes it easier for the defense, right, to game plan on how to slow you down because you're constantly in front of them. But if you're behind them, meaning off the ball, and you're behind them coming off-ball screens, off-ball actions, where now you could get to your spots on the floor much easier and just catch a pass for a layup or catch a pass for a jump shot, catch a pass at the elbow, it makes it a lot tougher for a defense to game plan for that. Why do you guys think Steph Curry is so effective off ball? And why everyone knows this, but they can't stop it? It's one, because he's Steph and he's constantly moving. Another reason is because he's the greatest shooter we've ever seen. But the biggest reason why nobody can really stop that is because they can't see him. The people at the top really cannot see him. And it's on the bigs a lot of times and the guy that's defending him, or on the guy that's switching on him to take care of that. And oftentimes it's a one-on-one type of thing because he's moving around so much. You could do similar things with Ant. He's not Steph Curry. He's not the same type of player. But if you take him off the ball, allow Mike Conley to bring the ball up, or Nah to bring the ball up, or someone else to bring the ball up here and there, and just have Ant come off some screens off ball, right? Get him with some backdoor cuts and get him to his spots on the floor, hit the little bank shot that he loves to take, right? That could help unlock his game. And then you could put him back on the ball, and by that time he's cooking. So we saw game one where it don't matter what kind of defense y'all put out there. I'm cooking. It's a wrap. The house is burning. Get the wife and kids out. Okay, get them out. All right? So that's another option that you have, right? To get Anthony Edwards unlocked from a scoring standpoint. The last thing that comes to mind is what they kind of did in game one, the dribble handoffs at the top of the key. You know, you'd have Rudy Gobert and you have Cat, or one of the two, obviously, at the top of the key. And Anthony Edwards comes down court, hands the ball off to Cat. Cat kind of has the ball and kind of sets his screen almost with the ball in his hands. Anthony Edwards comes off of that, catches the ball, whether it's driving to the rack or whether it's stopping and popping right there in that spot, stopping at that elbow, shooting a jump shot. It's really tough for a defense to defend, because if you put all your attention on Anthony Edwards, then Karl-Anthony Towns could just say, oh, okay, and pull the jump shot over the top. Similar thing with Rudy Gobert. Obviously, he cannot shoot like Karl-Anthony Towns, but you can run a similar action. Give and go. Quick give and go. Oh, y'all want to play that kind of defense? Give and go. I'm going to cut around, or I'm going to cut. It's really an off-ball action. It's an off-ball action. So it's kind of similar to the first thing I said. Or, yeah, similar to the first thing I said, second thing I said, whichever order I said this in. But basically the same thing. An off-ball action that gets him open to get to his spots on the floor and make shots, right? So that's the first take of the day. There are multiple ways to do this, but I do like how Anthony Edwards is handling this, right? In game one, they didn't go to this as much. They wasn't so passionate about playing that defense, and they kind of let him go one-on-one a bit more than I thought they would. In game two, they were like, no, we're going to play aggressive, and we're going to make sure we get the ball out of his hands. Anthony Edwards being smart, because what they want him to do is turn the ball over and force shots. That's what they want. Anthony Edwards being smart, trusting his teammates. If this is what y'all going to do, I'm going to pass the ball to my teammates, and I'm going to let them cook you. And they did. So those are ways to unlock Anthony Edwards from a scoring standpoint, but I I trust whatever Coach Finch has planned because they're up 2-0 at the end of the day. Take number 2. Jaden McDaniels is the perfect chess piece. Jaden McDaniels. Let me just say. Jaden McDaniels, earlier this season, I was nervous about. The same way I talked about Kyle Anderson and even J-Mac at times. I'm like, man, I was expecting a jump or a leap at some point. And I just, for the most part, didn't see it. We saw glimpses, but we didn't see it enough. At least I didn't. Let me not say we. I didn't see it enough. And I was nervous. But towards the playoffs, he started to kick it up. And now in the playoffs, man, having him on Devin Booker and really kind of taking Devin Booker out of these games has been huge. It's been big. I was one that said maybe you focus on stopping KD. Maybe Jaden McDaniels is guarding Kevin Durant. Coach Finch said, nah, we going to stop D-Book. That's going to be the guy that we put maybe debatably with Ant, our best perimeter defender on. That's the guy we're going to slow down. And it has worked. He has frustrated the mess out of Devin Booker. And honestly, it shocked me. I'm not sleeping on Jaden McDaniels' defense at all. But, I mean, it shocked me how much he slowed Devin Booker down. I'm not going to lie. You know, it's not just Devin Booker. He switched over on KD. He's switched over on Bradley Beal. There is a stat out here. Do I have the stat locked and loaded? Yes, I do. Jaden McDaniels, as a defender on Suns players, when he's defending those guys, as the primary defender coming up the floor, these guys are shooting 28.6%. These are lethal shooters. We're talking about Kevin Durant. We're talking about Bradley Beal. We're talking about Devin. These are shooters. He's got these boys shooting 28.6%. So that's what I mean by the perfect chess piece, because you could put him really anywhere. He's got it going. Let's put him over here. He's got it going. Let's put him over here. You could do the same thing with Ant, but you kind of, in a way, want to preserve Ant for offense at times, right? So let's move Jaden McDaniels around a bit, right? And on top of that, when he's got it going like that on the defensive side of the ball, when he's shutting things down, forcing turnovers, getting steals, doing things of that nature, and then he go out there and give you 25. What did Ant say? You know, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. That's what Game 2 felt like. They got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. The boy is special. When he's got it going on offense, the defense is going to be there. But when he's also got it going on offense, Wolves are tough to beat, yo. And the Suns see that now. On to take number 3. The obvious. The Suns will make adjustments. Now, y'all looking at this like, okay, that's a take. That's your take. The Suns will, obviously, they'll make adjustments. Yes, I know this. This is my version of an alley-oop to myself. The classic hee-hee. That Magic Johnson. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. This is an alley to myself. Because I was thinking while watching the game, what adjustments would I make if I was the Phoenix Suns? Because Coach Finch has to be thinking the same thing. What adjustments could they make that I could counteract? So you're down 2-0. You're going back home. You need to win these games, both of them, to get back in the series. You need both of them. Because obviously it's tough winning in Minnesota come playoff time. What Cat say last year, I think, or the year before, we in Minnesota now. We in Minnesota now. Anyway, I always found that funny. But anyway, it's tough winning in Minnesota. So you got to win at home in Phoenix. Some adjustments that I would make, first off, if I was on that side, I would expect Frank Vogel to find a way to get Devin Booker involved and find a way to get him easier looks. That's what I would expect. Maybe they decide to pinpoint a matchup that they like. Jaden McDaniels is the guy that's been guarding Devin Booker, and it's been tough. Who is on the floor at any given time that could maybe offset being guarded by Jaden McDaniels? Maybe you run some screens with whoever Mike Conley's guarding, right? Or you run some screens with, you know, whoever one of the bigs is guarding. You get those switches, and maybe you're able to exploit those switches. They tried to do that with the bigs last game, but just Book was just off. So even when you got the switch to Rudy Gobert or Karl-Anthony Towns, he wasn't making shots, and I don't think he was nearly aggressive enough attacking the basket. But that is an adjustment that I think they will make. I think they will make it more of a concerted effort to get to pinpoint whatever matchup that they like on the floor for Devin Booker and say, we're going to attack that matchup no matter who it is. And then it'll be up to Coach Finch to make the adjustment. Who knows? Again, I threw Mike Conley out there. Who knows what player they would pinpoint? Maybe it's Anthony Edwards. I want you to attack Anthony Edwards, not because we think he's not a great defender, but because we think you can get him in foul trouble. Adjustment that you could possibly make. Also, another adjustment I think they could possibly make on the other side of the ball when it comes to defending the Timberwolves, I think they're going to force Ant to beat them. And when I say force Ant to beat them, I don't mean what we've already seen. Yes, Ant in his own way has beat them both games. First game he went off scoring points and really took over the third quarter. In the second game he was getting the ball to open teammates. But what I mean is the same thing you do against a guy like Jokic, and the same thing teams do against Kevin Durant sometimes. Okay. And you want to go one-on-one against one of our best defenders, whoever that may be, fine. You go one-on-one against our best defenders. But we are not leaving these shooters anymore. We're not going to give McDaniels, Mike Conley, Karl-Anthony Towns, Naz Reid any more open looks. You have to make every shot. You got to beat us. And, if you've been watching, and anytime he sees that matchup with KD one-on-one, he's taking it. So maybe they try to exploit that. Let's let him do his thing. Let him go off. If we can make sure everybody else is cold around him, we have a shot to win. That's another adjustment I can see them making. So this is a championship head coach we're talking about. I don't think this series is just going to be a wash after the first couple games. We can expect the Phoenix Suns to come out here and make adjustments. I only named two that I think came to the top of my head. And again, I'm just a guy that loves the sport of basketball. I'm not Frank Vogel. Who knows what type of level he's thinking on and the type of adjustments he can think of, but it will come down to Coach Finch and the players to figure out the adjustments, spot the adjustments, figure out a way to attack every adjustment that they are trying to make. Last but not least, last take of the day, realism has to kick in. It's the header or the thumbnail on the video. They will get a game in Phoenix, but they won't get both. I know a lot of y'all are like, oh, sweet, get the brooms. We got to be realistic, y'all. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, do I hope I'm wrong? Of course. I would love for the Wolves to win both games. But at the end of the day, I do not see it happening. Now, I see them winning one game because defense travels. I see them winning one game because Anthony Edwards is coming off of a game where he shot 3 of 12. Karl-Anthony Towns has not exploded yet offensively. I think both of those guys are due for a big game, and it's coming very soon. Right? Maybe not in the same game, but one of these guys is going to explode again. I can see that coming, right? And also, the Wolves have been very good on the road all season long. They had the second best road record in the West. So I see them getting a game. Maybe Phoenix comes out and takes game 3. Coach Finch says, okay, back to the drawing board. Let's figure out the adjustments that was made. Like I said on the previous take, let's make our adjustments. It's a chess match. Playoffs is all about adjustments. You come back to the table. These are the adjustments that we make. We get that win. Then we go back home. And at that point, it's a 5-game series. I said 6. I'm not going to back down off of that because I could be a little prideful with my predictions, I must admit. But I can see it potentially ending in 5. Who knows? I just don't think you sweep them. I just don't think they get swept. I respect Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and the head coach that is Frank Vogel a little bit too much to say they just going to sweep these guys off the floor. But we'll see. With the way the Wolves are playing, anything is possible. That is all I have for y'all today on 4 Wolves Takes. Thank you all for tuning in to today's episode. Man, look, that nervousness is gone. And if it's not gone yet, it should be gone. The Wolves are exactly who we thought they were. A very good basketball team that can beat you 1,000,001 different ways, and they have shown it now. I look forward to the next time I come back to record in front of you guys, being up 3-1 or better. Looking forward to the next series. I will catch you all on the next episode of 4 Wolves Takes.